Hello, beloved. My name is Ditta and I am Ditta of Godland. And today I'll tell you what's that about and what a fabulous unity is Godland. Today is equinox. It is 10th of May 12,017, which means that for at least 12,000 years we have lived in this Baltic Sea region. We, the indigenous people. And previous summer, 12,016, I did proclaim Indigenous world order. And Indigenous world order is Godland. That is a unity that is restored into divine protection of indigenous lands and peoples of our Mother Earth. By native ethnogenetical substance, I personally am Latvian and Swedish, and I do talk these both languages, and more I do talk English, as you can see, and even Russian. And in all these 4 languages, we do conferences and indigenous courts to recreate the loving divine order that indigenous people have been preserving for thousands and thousands of years, protecting life and love of all living species. This time now is a very dangerous time of most wonderful possibilities as well. It is the worst and the best time of all times. And the state of art is to stay on the side of possibilities instead of dangers. So we are working to connect to every conscious being to be the power of love, peace and understanding, of recreation of divine orders of our gods who put us here on Mother Earth to lovingly live and protect and nourish. And how do we do this? What is the instrument of Godland? We do work by communication. And the most important thing in this communication are re-establishment of divine laws. Noņem skaņu. So, as you, most of people who are watching this, you have understood that, unfortunately, the matter of laws on earth does not follow divine laws in the courts. And our main task is to re-establish divine laws in the courtrooms where our reality is being judged and forced into punishments or allowances or prosperity and advancement of resources. So, the current time is called the time where New World Order has been already established. The time of the Third World War, what we are already living in. And that is something that can be erased, the war and the totalitarian regime, by putting in place something that can establish peace and order of self-sustainable, self-managing possibilities. In balance with each other. And that in law right now may be called as divine law or natural law or common law, and then the current system has been chosen Roman law. And the Roman law, unfortunately, is run by New World Order and might be by now even called Roman Reich, which is quite a totalitarian regime that is, by systemic analysis, probably running a global prison where the wealth of prisoners is being actually just erased. The prisoners in the slave camp can work however they work, their wealth is just disappears. It's a system that erases wealth, and it is unjustifiable. Although it has an element of amazing brilliance, of course, as we can see that can't be easy to make many billions of people to comply to a plan that they have never accepted, to this script of the end of the world that most of people are working for, just following the black magic dollar, the petrol dollar. And though there is a fabulous brilliance in this, because people they do almost anything to get those dollars or other currencies that can be converted into dollars. So, and they think that they are free people, they just go to work. They have totally sort of forgotten to check who they're working for and who has really, in the big pyramid top, employed them. And that is what we do here in Godland, because to free people and to change the leadership, take away from totalitarian, self-destructive corporations and re-establish your own self-management. You really have to know how to destruct the undesirable and the system that enslaved you and is bringing us all into a collapse of apocalyptic events. So, to do that, I had to use the instrument of proclamation of Godland, where I could take responsibility over the whole system. And as it was obvious that people have become blindly biorobotized into work in the system, then and I couldn't find anybody who could take responsibility for changing the course of the system, then I had to do it myself, and I have done it. And I will tell you a secret that I just recently, a week ago, discovered that I'm not the only one who saw that this is possible. There is another person whose name is Cindy K. Carrier in the United States, who has done quite a similar maneuver, and she's much more resourced in law and has fabulous documents in natural law that you can follow on her web pages, and on YouTube you can find her on Rise Together. Rise Together is her channel. But my documents and archives of videos that I've been video filming all the time, you can almost see my life in videos, you can find on these internet resources. And on webpage LoveOrder.INFO you can find this proclamation of Godland, that consists of description that my concept relies on 14 rays of Baltic Sun model, I'm author of several concepts, but Baltic Sun model is the most important one, because by knowing that one, you can be anchored into all 14 sides of reality in most of the dimensions. And furthermore, it describes that we are working with indigenous courts, Baltic Sea indigenous courts, that you can find on YouTube channel Radioactive BSR, Radioactive Baltic Sea Region. And these courts have criminalized nuclear war systems, which is the conceptual name of the matrix of all systems that has led us to this apocalyptic nuclear war risk. Although now it involves even nuclear weapons, not only nuclear weapons. So there is a very important phrase in this proclamation which says, that the work that I focus on is our human rights, but not just as humans, but also as indigenous people. Because human rights are being used to colonize and occupy indigenous people. There are being arranged migration flows that are actually like war processes. And to decentralize those and to decentrifuge those migration processes, it's enough to just evoke indigenous rights of that region to be primary holder of management. And everything just gets into place. So, very important in this work is that I do restore the rights of any kind of ethnogenetical groups. And not only the oppressed ones, but also the ones that have been oppressors. All are protected. And any religious groups, all are protected. And even the victims and the criminals, all are getting protection. Because as I have studied these nuclear war systems, I have seen how even the criminals have been forced to commit crimes. And if you have lived their lives, you probably have been forced to make similar choices. So we have to give everybody worthy life setting. And people don't need much, but they need enough. They need living accommodations that are healthy, they need food, they need possibility to hold together with their family and tribe and peacefully prosper in their projects. Right now, almost nobody has such possibilities. It's just very few who have this capacity to live like that. Because we are in a system of war economy that we will get out of now. But what we do, we live like in that old saga about giants whom we have to feed our children. And literally that is what is going on. International Tribunal on Crimes of Church and State with the leading figure Kevin Annett are bringing a very hard task through common law to bring down the big corporations. And I, as Konna of Godland, am very humble even to these horrific, absolutely horrific crimes that they have committed through thousands of years. These structures that are satanic, who are being now exposed for tribunals through ITCCS. But my approach is not to criminalize any people, but to foreclose the corporations that are employing these people, and to see where the resources come from, how they could have been financed for so long to commit these crimes, and to stop the sources of finance for these murderous systems. Because if you think of obvious slave camps in the Second World War, there were Nuremberg tribunals and Auschwitz tribunals and what not. But they convicted the employed people who were forced to take jobs to survive. But the financiers of these horrific units never were on trial. The corporations that financed both sides of the war and the systems that were making laws to terrorize people into these systems that are the war machine never were stopped. So the same people the same corporations that were funding the First World War, the Second World War, they are funding this one. And they have not been decentralized until now. That's why I have put into place instrument that is called Indigenous decentralization, and with that you can decentralize any corporation that is involved in terrorist activities that are withdrawing our resources and has impact on our freedoms, liberties and rights. So, furthermore, this is a totally different union. This is not a union of talented or wealthy or intelligent or smart or this is a union of loving. And we love everybody. And we will take care of everybody because we love each other. So, tell all men are equal in the sight of God. That capacity to love and protect persons' wisdom, talents and virtue of heart consciousness alone constitute the difference between them. And that type of leadership is being exterminated right now, systemically, through digital automatized corporational self-destruction mechanisms. Furthermore, so we have these indigenous courts. We have the method of indigenous decentralization of corporations. And furthermore, we do have Baltic Indigenous Bank. And it is not a usual bank at all. Do you know the runes, here in Baltic Sea region, we do have runes. So the coins are the runes, and the bonds and other contracts we manage on tally sticks. As you maybe don't know, but before they started using central banks and banks in England, there was an 800 years long period with tally sticks, and they worked fabulously well. But nobody could use tally sticks to control people, because that's exactly what it is. It is an instrument where only we manage emission of our own resources, and then we exchange these. So to create a tally stick, you just split a piece of wood into two pieces. Then you have here your sigil. Then you write here parts of the contract, and here you write the accounting number. And it's impossible to forge, because each piece of bronze is so original. And you keep one side in your accounting, and the other one you give to the other part of your contract. And here in the middle, in the split side, with Roman numbers, you write the amount of your contract. That is in Baltic Indigenous runes. And one Baltic Indigenous rune is equivalent to €1. And the interesting part about this is that since we have been emitting these beers, we have been engaging in solutions in a totally different level. Because in the very beginning, approximately more than a year ago, we bought a house, a 7-store building with 50 apartments with beer, to liberate people who, as it's here shown, this man has been living, paying for his little apartment for 60 years. For 60 years. He has been worrying about if he can pay most of his salary. So generally our enslavement is in the trap that we don't have housing that is free and ours. That's how they got us. And when they forced us to get into these little apartments that seemed convenient, they fooled us, because we lost our land. And right now we are almost in prison cells in those apartments, and the Third World War can hit us hard any minute. Any minute. If they switch off electricity, we will be without water, without heat to make food. We will be without money, because money has digitalized in Baltic Sea region. It's all digitalized now. And what then? It's just unbelievable how people have been forced to run in their jobs without thinking about their security. And most of the banks are not ours. They have been taken over through stock exchange. As it's here, Nasdaq Baltic, they created these systems that can say, oh, these are so smart and you can get investments. And then suddenly you don't have anything because you have given them everything and they buy. They become shareholders in your companies that were state-owned before. But back to the house that we bought, we actually